Ricky and Dave are two tabletop gamers who love their hobby. At 2015 PAX convention, Mike Selinker, a favourite game designer of theirs, released his list of 100 games you absolutely, positively must know how to play. The 100th game was a challenge. The 100th game was one that you designed yourself. Knowing nothing about game design, Ricky and Dave have set out to play through as many games from Mike's list as possible, hoping to learn enough to design their game. Join them now as they look for the core mechanic. Hi, I'm Dave.
And I'm Ricky.
And you're watching The Core Mechanic.
Today we're going to be looking at number 58 on Mike's list, Love Letter.
Love it. Love Letter was designed by Seiji Kanai, who is also well known for his other great designs, such as Love Letter Tempest, Love Letter Batman, Love Letter of the Five Rings, Love Letter Loot Letter, Love Letter... There's a lot of love letters. Possibly some other games too. However, we're talking about Love Letter today. It came out in 2012, released by AEG. It plays in about 20 minutes, and it's one of the simplest games you can imagine.
Love Letter is an incredibly easy to pick up deduction game. The rules are simple. You draw one card, you discard one card, and activate its effect. Then the other player does the exact same thing, leaving all cards face up, so you can keep track of what's been discarded and try and figure out what your opponent has left in their hand.
So normally I'm not a big fan of elimination games, but I think the time they work... Actually, that's not true. I love elimination games. It's just... I just prefer them, yeah.
It's the backstabber in you.
It's the backstabber. I think the problem I have with elimination games is when there's too much time of someone outside of the game.
Yeah.
So I don't mind it when it's Love Letter like this, which is if you get out, you're out for what, maybe 5 minutes? 2 minutes,
yeah.
That doesn't take long to get back into it.
Yeah.
Resistance is a bad example because that's not the one I'm thinking of. I was thinking of Werewolf. Werewolf is probably stretching it more towards the other end.
Once again, like, how many players do you have? 58 players.
Right. Well,
once you're out in the first round.
And I've played games with 20 odd kids.
Yeah.
Who seem to take on the philosophy that they should kill the new guy.
Oh.
So when I finally got a chance to sit in on a game, I died immediately.
Yeah.
Even then, like, that it's a different beast because it has a lot going on in the game anyway, and it creates fun.
Yeah.
But I've played some elimination games where you sit there and just watch people play for a while.
It's not really a lot of fun for anyone else at the table, and that's where
King of New York can have that issue.
Really?
Well, King of New York or King of Tokyo, you can die. You can get knocked out by a few different people, and 3 people can then battle it out for a good half hour.
Oh, jeez.
So, I mean, as good as a game as it is, you're stuck there for a half hour without anything to do.
Yeah. But that's the beauty of Love Letter. It's over in 2 or 3 minutes, tops. Yeah. It's really, really quick.
The word we would probably keep coming to mind is simplicity. And I think that's perhaps why it's on the list in the first place.
That's right.
Is just that I think one of the things that they talk about in design is it's not what you can add to a game that you know when to stop. It's when you can't take anything else away.
That's right.
And I think this is trimmed down to its very basics.
Absolutely. What is it? It's a deck of 16 cards? 16
cards. You got a few tokens to help.
And once again, that was added on for the theme of Munchkin.
Oh, yeah, we got. And if in Love Letter, they're little red tokens, but they're essentially a way of keeping score. Really.
Yeah.
There's a little bit of deck counting, so you're counting your deck. So there's always that engagement of what cards are being played.
Yeah.
There's that tactics, a lot of tactics. So you're playing with what you've got in your hand.
Yep. Keeping track of information. And then there's always the one card dealt out. So there's always that little bit of. Is that the 8 card that just got excluded from the game completely?
So I think it's just got enough. And in the time you play it, it's enough to keep you interested and keep you wanting to play more.
Which you will, because you'll be finished in 2 minutes.
2 minutes.
That's right.
It was good, it was quick, it was exciting.
And it just leaves you wanting more.
Yeah. I think for me, the when you talk about good games, you talk about being able to walk away with stories or an experience, a shared experience. Like even in some of the quick game we had beforehand, there was that moment of I was sure I knew I was going to win. I had the 7, I had the duck, because I mean we're playing Loot Letter here, which is a variant of the theme. So it's using all the Munchkin characters. So I've got Duck of Doom, which compares your hand, and I was dead set sure I was going to win, and sure enough, you had
guess who held the 8. But that's what you got to love about games like this. They're so quick, but you know all the little twists and turns that can happen in that short amount of time. It's
absolutely
fantastic.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah,
just that one little game which took all of a minute, and
immediately started collecting them and shuffling up again.
Yeah,
we didn't get to the second game, unfortunately.
We stop. It was just a quick test,
but for me, the best thing about this is just how easy it is to pick up. It's not complicated at all.
No.
Someone who doesn't like games at all could still get into it.
Doesn't like games at all, you think?
Not
at all. Do you know that person?
No, that's true enough.
I'd like to punch that person in the face.
This will probably get edited out. No, but it's incredibly simple for someone to pick up, get started, and be competitive.
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Like, I think that you can still develop some skill level at the game.
Oh yeah.
I think that, but I don't think that that's a huge part of it.
Well, the person that keeps track of the information that's available will have the advantage in the game, and that's a skill you can develop.
True, but certainly you're right. Like I've taught this to people who, as I've taught it to them, have picked up. Oh, I've kind of got a handle of this, and then they've beaten me.
Yeah, it took me about 3 rounds the first time I ever played Love Letter to actually get a sense of what was happening and why we were playing our cards face up to begin with.
Right. So as a design, like it's number what? It's number 54 on Mike's list. 58 on Mike's list. He puts it under the category of traditional card games, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
Not under deduction, or I guess it's not legitimately a deduction game. It's not like you hold the one character the whole time.
Yeah.
It's kind of you're almost ducking and weaving to try and just stay afloat.
Maybe it's because of the draw and discard mechanic.
Yeah.
The fact that...
But it's entirely based on the cards, I guess.
Yeah.
It's how it's being defined. But, you know, he talks about the versatility of it. He talks about the fact that it's not... I think his words were, it's not a game that everyone should have played. It's a game that everyone should have on them right now.
That's right.
And that's essentially, when you can pack it all into this neat little bag, that's possibly true.
Stick it in your backpack, stick it in your back pocket. If you know you're going to be stuck in a line or waiting somewhere.
Yeah,
maybe not the post office. But, yeah.
And I think the success of it is proof, like the fact that it's taken on so many different IPs. It's been reprinted.
It's absolutely everywhere, and with all the different variants you could possibly want.
When I put in my order for the game, I didn't order one with the little bag, and I got a limited edition Kenji one. It came in a little box.
Oh.
It's quite it's pretty art. It's really nice, pretty art, and it's all very traditional Japan, and it's beautiful. I really like it, but it's still in a box. And now I kind of almost want one that I can carry around in a bag because it's just easy. Like carrying around Loot Letter is fantastic. I really enjoy Loot Letter. But how do you go about designing such a simplistic game, I wonder? In terms of its design, what do you think you would take away and put into and consider or learn from this game when designing your own game?
Yeah. Every time I've thought of designing a card game, I've immediately gone back to your standard deck of cards, looking at 40 cards, 50 cards, 52 cards, that many. The fact that Love Letter has just 16, technically only 8 different variants of card, shows that when you're designing something, you should really try for simplicity. Try and keep it as cut down, trimmed down as absolutely possible. Have nothing there that's extraneous. It would be easy to design a card that does something that would just interrupt the flow of the game rather than help it along.
Actually, that's something that you took away from Guillotine too, the designer of Guillotine. Paul, I want to say, name not coming to me, also designed Smash Up.
Yep. You're talking about,
that guy.
It's going to be edited.
That guy. we'll put that into the bottom somewhere.
Yeah.
But one of the things he mentioned is that he had that card in his deck, and his was very similar. Like, it's a card game. Yeah. It's about playing cards, moving people to the front of the line, collecting heads, that sort of thing. But he had that one card that he hated because it upset the flow of the game.
Yeah.
It was after he published that he sort of came to hate it, but he realised actually he should have taken it out because it's counterintuitive to what the game's about.
Yeah.
And I think what they've done here is he seems to have really trimmed it right down to its absolute essentials.
The amount of time he must have spent thinking about what to put on these cards and exactly how many cards he needed and how to word these rules must be absolutely staggering.
You've got cards like the Potted Plant, which suddenly becomes more powerful later in the game. But there's 5 of them, so the chances are you're going to get one earlier in the game.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, I don't know why. It just must have been. I think it's probably a sign of really good playtesting. And one of the things with any game design is you just have to sit there and play it a lot.
That's right.
And take notes and cut things out and add, do what you have to do to make it work well. And I just think this is beautifully done.
Yeah.
I think this really is the definition of elegance.
Yeah.
It's the most basic, simplest. Only what you need, and it's just done beautifully.
Yeah. For me, the idea that every single card has such a well thought out purpose, and that to me is a thing. Your Potted Plant, you'll hang on to it until the late game if you can, because you know that's when it's going to be most effective. The Protection card, as soon as you put it out, you know that you're safe for a turn. Can really help build up some of those tactics that you're talking about before.
For sure.
This is not the game you play for massive strategy or tactics.
No, and that's like any game. No game can cover everything.
Yeah.
I think for what it is, I would struggle to find much of anything negative to say about it, except maybe that it's just so. I mean, it's so ubiquitous. But I don't think it's a bad thing, really. Yeah. It's not really a bad thing at all.
Just gives you more choice.
More choice, and actually, probably a sign that they're making a lot of money out of this game. That's really what it comes down to, isn't it? Look, I really can't think of anything negative to say about it.
Not the neediest game, but it was never supposed to be.
Yes, so. And I'm sure better game designers might be able to nitpick a few things out. But I think I can understand why it's on the list.
Yeah.
Definitely. I think I can appreciate it there. And I'd agree. I think it's one of those games that if as a gamer, I just want a copy to keep on me.
And everyone I've ever met loves Love Letter. Yeah. It always gets pulled out at parties in between the big hour-long games.
For sure.
That sort of stuff.
Yeah. So in terms of game design, I think the takeaway things for me is that it's certainly not only a well-oiled machine, but it's really cutting things down, like really working out how it takes things down to its barest minimum. This is what makes the game work well, and this is all that we're going to include into it. None of the extras, none. And I think as a game designer, that would be the thing I want to work on most. Yep. Is to really, what point can I just get it down to the point where I can't take anything else away from it?
And I think once you've got that sorted out, adding things on top, more theme or whatever, you could do that. But having your core worked out as well as this game is
would be, I think that's the goal. Yeah. I think that's really the achievement here.
Yeah.
With that said, I would love to hear from you in terms of what games do you think are as well designed? Do you have a favourite love letter? But maybe you've got another game that's equally well designed.
Yeah.
I'd love to hear about it. Why don't you put it down in the comments section below? You've been watching. Well, I'm Dave.
And I'm Ricky.
You've been watching The Core Mechanic.
We'd love to hear your thoughts on what games do you think have an elegant design. Thanks for watching.